Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yudhaparakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This is Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder and Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, for all intents and purposes, savior of the modern world. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Today we're speaking from Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is entitled Knowledge of the Absolute, and we're dealing with text number 9. Please repeat. Punyo gandha prativyam cha tejaschasmi vibhavasa jivanam sarvabhuteshu tapaschasmi tapasvisho. Punya, original. Gandha, fragrance. Prithivyam, in the earth. Cha, also. Tejaha, heat. Cha, also. Asmi, I am. Vibhavasao, in the fire. Jivanam, life. Sarva, in all. Bhuteshu, living entities. Tapaha, penance. Cha, also. Asmi, I am. Tapasvishu, in those who practice penance. Translation. I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penances of all ascetics. Please repeat. I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penances of all ascetics. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Purnya means that which is not decomposed. Purnya is original. Everything in the material world has a certain flavor or fragrance. As the flavor and fragrance in a flower or in the earth, in water, in fire, in air, etc. The uncontaminated flavor, the original flavor, which permeates everything, is Krishna. Similarly, everything has a particular original taste, and this taste can be changed by the mixture of chemicals. So everything original has some smell, some fragrance, and some taste. Vibhavasu means fire. Without fire, we cannot run factories. We cannot cook, etc. And that fire is Krishna. The heat in the fire is Krishna. According to Vedic medicine, indigestion is due to low temperature in the belly. So even for digestion, fire is needed. In Krishna consciousness, we become aware that earth, water, fire, air, and every active principle, all chemicals, and all material elements are due to Krishna. The duration of man's life is also due to Krishna. Therefore, by the grace of Krishna, man can prolong his life or diminish it. So Krishna consciousness is active in every sphere. Punyo gandha prativyam cha tejas chasmi vibhavasau jivanam sarvabhuteshu tapaschasmi tapasvishu. I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penances of all ascetics. According to Srila Ramanujacharya, these 4 verses, verses 8, 9, 10, and 11, they're part of a series that explains how Krishna is pervading, all-pervading, through his various energies. Before this set of verses, the last thing Krishna claimed was, Matta parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana eva. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me, as pearls are strung on a thread. And so naturally, in the next several shlokas, up until text number 11, when Krishna concludes, know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am in one sense everything, but I'm independent. I'm not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. Everything within these 2 verses, Krishna is demonstrating with practical examples that from our daily life, how he is pervading things. So he begins with sense gratification. All of us, we know about sense gratification. We see things. We hear things. We touch things. We eat things. What else is there? We smell things. So we have form, taste, fragrance, touch, sound. And in these verses, Krishna is giving examples one after another. He's already told us in the previous shloka, Rasoham apsu kaunteya, I am the taste in water. Prabhasmi shashi surya yoho, in the sun and the moon, I am that prabha. Prabha means effulgence. Pranava sarva vedeshu, In all the Vedas, you will find this Omkar is there. That's me. Shabda K. In the sky or in the ether, sound is there. That's me. And Nrishu, in men, Paurisham. I am the manhood or the personhood in all human beings. So, now he continues. I am the original fragrance of the earth. I am the heat and fire. 4 things. I am the life of all that lives and the penances of all ascetics. So first thing, Purnya Gandha. What does Purnya mean? Purnya. Huh? You're all too smart. Usually when we think of the word Purnya, what do we understand? Huh? Pious credit of some sort, merit, good karma, shubha karma, you can say, Purnya. And it does mean that. In fact, that's the primary meaning of the word. But here in this verse, all of the Vaishnavacharyas have commented that Purnya doesn't exactly mean just piety. You can extrapolate that it means piety indirectly, because after all, things that are natural are things that are pious. When we are impious, then we're in an unnatural state. The word used by, I think, Sridhar Swami as well as Baladevi Vidyabhushan, certainly, he glosses the word Purnya with avikrita. Avikrita means it's not altered in some way. Just like in music we have sapta swaras, sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa. So each of those notes, you can have the pure note, the shuddha swar, or you can have vikrita swar. Vikrita means it's been changed in some way. What do you do to change the notes? You can make them flat, komala. Or you can make them sharp, tivra. Like this. So vikrita means it's the same thing but a little bit changed. Similarly, kshiram yatha dadhivikara vishesha yogat. By a particular application of some other chemical, we can take kshira, milk, and turn it into dadhi, yogurt. It becomes vikrita. It's nothing but milk, but it's changed milk, altered milk. So, Purnya means pious activity. Another name for pious activity is shubha karma, as we said, or maybe we can say dharma, because you have 2 things within karma kanda. You have Purnya and you have, opposite of Purnya is papa. Actually not exactly the opposite of Purnya, the absence of Purnya, that is papa. It's an important distinction to make. Back in chapter 2, we've heard Srila Prabhupada explain this. Famous verse that everyone knows. What is it? Text number 50. No, text number 47. Karmani evadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalehi turbhur mate sangostu akarmani. There, Srila Prabhupada describes that as far as prescribed duties are concerned, they can be fitted into 3 subdivisions. That is to say, niyatam karma, routine work; apad karma means emergency work; and kamya karma, desired work. This is pious activity. This is Purnya. And the absence of Purnya means you have other things that you can possibly do. Capricious work, Srila Prabhupada calls it here. Of course, that comes with a hefty price tag. If you do something outside of the realm of Purnya, then you have to pay for it, usually through some sort of suffering, because it's sinful. So the absence of Purnya is papa. So that's the general meaning of Purnya, but here it means avikrita. And it's, as I said, it's a little bit indirectly related. If you're living a normal human existence, natural human existence, you will be pious. You will not be impious. If you're impious, it means that something is wrong. You've been perverted, as Prabhupada says. This is another way we can translate the word vikrita. Vikrita means somehow turned into something different. even though it's the same thing, but it's been altered somehow. So punyo gandha, the original fragrance. And where is that fragrance to be found? Huh? Okay, each of these 5 divisions of sense gratification, they have a substrate. Correct? A locus of some sort. What is the locus of smell? In the of these Panch Mahabhutas? Earth. Smell resides in earth. Sound resides where? We've heard in the previous verse. Shabda ke. In ether. So all these things. So Krishna's going through the whole list of sense gratification, and he's talking about all the things. Here, the next thing he says, Tejas chasmi vibhavasau. Teja. What does teja mean? Anyone who cooks knows what tejpatti is. Yeah, something hot, you know. It's very pungent or it has a strong flavor, therefore they call tejpata. So here tejas means heat. Now we have the same word actually, believe it or not. Krishna repeats it again. Bijam mam sarvabhutanam vidhi partha sanatanam buddhir buddhimatamasmi tejas. Tejasvi namaham. So tejas chasmi vibhavaso, but tejas tejasvi namaham also. So what does it mean there? Tejas. You have only to look in the word for word. Prowess. Somebody who has power. Somebody who is able to do something. Vitality. Potency, you can say. This is tejas also. Just like we hear in Brahma Samhita, Yat chakshuresha savita sakalagrahanam raja samastu suramurtir ashesha tejas. Infinite tejas. Tejas means power. And it also means brightness. It also means here, as he says, heat. Heat and light, these are 2 inseparable characteristics of fire. So that's the next word, vibhavasu. Vibhavasu. Something that is pervaded by vibha. What does vibha mean? Same thing as prabha. We heard in the previous text. Prabha asmi shashi surya yoho means the glow, the light, the brilliance. So in all things that are brilliant, what is pervading those things? Fire. If there's light, there must be fire. If there's heat, there must be fire. You cannot have fire without heat and light. This is the point. And Krishna says, that is me. That potency, that essence of the thing, that is me. Now, Srila Prabhupada in his purport, he's expanded on the first one. Punya, he says, furthermore, is something that is not decomposed, original, that's we've kind of stated. Original in the sense of natural, swabhavik, or avikrita, not altered, not perverted, not curdled into something else. This is the original fragrance of the earth. Fragrance of the earth or fragrance in the earth, in the sense that all fragrance actually comes out of the earth. This is the point. You can't have fragrance otherwise. And tejas chasmi vibhavaso. Here Srila Prabhupada writes, vibhavasu means fire. What do we do with fire? We cannot run factories. We cannot cook. Raise your hand if you don't eat. There are some people, especially in the West, they always come up with the harebrained ideas. So they figured out that actually you should not be cooking. You should be eating only raw food. Many people say like this. According to Ayurveda, that's not really correct, because the taxation is less on the stove and more on your digestive system. Okay, so that fire is Krishna. The heat in the fire is Krishna. According to Vedic medicine, indigestion is due to a low temperature in the belly. So even for digestion, fire is needed. People don't know this. You have fire inside, because we've already described heat and light. If you have heat, that means fire must be there. It's a subtle form of fire. Fire isn't just that which you get when you strike a match or flick a lighter. Fire has more subtle properties than that, and in fact even our bodies have fire. That's why they're warm. If that fire doesn't work properly, then you cannot digest. Because if you're not cooking it on the stove and you're not cooking it in your stomach, you're not going to digest it. This is how it works. So where does that potency come from? We can hear if we read the Kena Upanishad, and especially if we hear the Kena Upanishad, because hearing is generally more powerful than reading, although we equate them. But actually hearing is more important than reading. So if we hear, and if we hear from the right source, and if we hear in such a way that all of our doubts and our questions and our misunderstandings are eradicated, then we can understand what these Upanishads say. Kena Upanishad says, who is the power of eyesight within the eye? Who is the power by which the ear is able to hear? Who is that power? What is that power? Similarly, Srila Prabhupada is saying here, Krishna is that power by which there is fire in the digestion and by which we are able to digest things. Have we heard this elsewhere in Bhagavad-Gita? Who knows the verse I'm thinking of? We're about halfway there at this point in Bhagavad-Gita. That's your hint. Yes, that's right. Wait, what is the Sanskrit? You know? Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrataha. I become the fire of digestion within all living entities. Yeah. What is the rest of the verse? Prana Pana Samayukta Upachamyannam Chaturvitham. I myself digest these 4 kinds of foodstuffs. If Krishna is not there to help you, then your system won't work. He's got his hands on all the strings. Nothing is without his control. Therefore he can claim, and he already has claimed, Matta parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. There can be nothing more than me, nothing better than me. Sutre manigana iva mai saravamidam protum. I am pervading this whole creation, left and right, any way you want to look at it, in and out. That's called otam protam. So, all right, this is Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada sums it up here when he says, in Krishna consciousness we become aware that earth, water, fire, air, and every active principle, these are the tanmatras, correct? What are the 5 great elements according to Sankhya philosophy? Bhumi, Apa, Anala, Vayu, Kham. And he's mentioned all of these here. And then we have their subtle properties. The experience of those things. We've already been through that list as well. What are they again? Sight, sound, smell, touch, taste, in these ways. Krishna is manifest in all of these things. Even you have the fire for digestion, but you cannot taste something if you're diseased. If your tongue is vikrita, then your experience will also be vikrita. If your tongue is diseased, then your experience of what you taste will be perverted. You can eat sugar candy if you have jaundice, but because your tongue is perverted, therefore your experience is perverted, therefore your mind becomes perverted also. This is material existence. It's a very dangerous place, this material world. Everything that we do has an impact on us, long-term consequence, and we're not aware of this. We're just bumbling through life as if on autopilot. There's no such thing as autopilot. If you're not taking charge of your destiny, then who is or what is? Who knows the answer? It's in Bhagavad-Gita. Huh? Krishna? We hope so, but not usually. If you're not steering your trajectory in this life towards Krishna, then who is taking control of the reins, so to speak, of your chariot? Yes, yes. I was thinking of another verse, but it's the right answer. Prakritehi kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvasha. Everything we're impelled to act by these three modes of material nature, which is the result of our association with those modes of nature. And we're being taken for a ride. Just like somebody told me, if you go to Nayati Hospital and you're not very assertive and very clear about what you want, they will take you on every ride in Disneyland, so to speak. They will test you for everything under the sun and charge you for it. So in life, it's a little bit like that. These modes of material nature, they're standing ready by default. If you do not assert your minute independence in the proper way, then Krishna is going to turn you over to Maya, and Maya is going to beat the daylights out of you. And after being taken for a ride and ending up in who knows what kind of species, somebody was observing for me the other day, here in Vrindavan, it seems like there are so many more monkeys now than there ever used to be. Why is that? Because people are inebriated with a newfound illusory independence, and they're prepared to commit sinful activities as a result of deliberate association with the lower modes of material nature, and they end up, the big door slams shut, and they haven't acted judiciously enough, and they end up as an animal. You go to sleep as a human being, and you wake up as a dog, and all you can do is bark. You may have the most important realizations to share, but it comes out as barking, because you don't have the facility anymore once you lose this human form of life. So to become Krishna conscious usually requires that we give some thought to these easily overlooked passages of the Bhagavad-Gita. Punyo gantha prativyam cha tejas chasmi vibhavaso. If we can even understand what on earth it means to begin with, do we see the deeper significance of it? How does this actually impact me? What am I going to do with this information? Why is it important? We should become thoughtful when we hear these things. Now, the next half of the verse is perhaps the most important. Well, let me finish the sentence. Srila Prabhupada says, in Krishna consciousness, we become aware that the earth, water, fire, air, and every active principle, all chemicals, and all material elements are due to Krishna. So, the duration of man's life is also due to Krishna. Jivanam sarvabhuteshu. In all living entities, Krishna says, Jivanam, I am the life. We can understand this in a few ways. The duration of your life, ayuhu, that is, Prabhupada says, due to Krishna. I actually have some experience of this, personal experience of this. Around 2006, I went to visit my mother, I thought, for only 2 weeks. When I was there, she had a massive heart attack and a stroke. And she ended up in the hospital in a comatose condition. And the doctor said, she has hours or maybe days only to live. And so we had to, somehow or other, we had to deal with that. Eventually she came out of her coma, and she was able to communicate with extreme difficulty. So we had to ask that, you know, you've always said that you don't want to be kept alive artificially by all sorts of tubes and buttons and things, and you know, nobody wants to spend their last days lying at a 30-degree incline in a hospital bed next to a beeping pole with nurses who don't give a damn about you. And yet that happens to so many. So we told her that, you've always told us that you don't want to have to live this way, but if we push this particular button right now, then you can maybe take 1 more breath or maybe 2 more breaths maximum, then you're gone. So are you sure that's what you want? She reversed her lifelong policy on the spot when faced with that reality. But that's not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is that after she gradually came out of that over the course of many, many months, about 9 months she spent in the hospital convalescing. She had to learn how to talk all over again. She had to learn how to walk all over again. She had to learn how to eat all over again. I sat with her every day for that amount of time. How could I leave her? And then when she came home also, she was invalid, homebound. What to do? So I took care of her for about 4 or 5 years. And then eventually she died because just out of old age. Nothing really went wrong. We took care. But what many persons told me at the time was that actually her time was up in 2006. Only because you were there, giving her prasadam every day, giving her charanamritam every day, allowing her to hear from Srila Prabhupada every day, because I did these things. Therefore, Krishna has extended her life. This is the point. Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. She was participating in bhakti. Bhaja means to participate. She may not even been doing so of her own volition, but she was engaged. And because I was the agent of that engagement, it went on for several years because I wasn't going to give up. And by the time she did leave this world, she was in a very auspicious way. She had Vaishnava Tilak and Tulasi Kanthimala, and the last thing she ate was Sandesh offered to the Sri Sri Rukmini Dwarkadish, Mahaprasadam. So many things she had, so much great fortune she had. Anyway, Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu. Mare Krishna Rakhe Krishna Mare Ke. You may deserve to die right now, but if Krishna wants you to stay alive, then aisa hoga. And on the other hand, if you may have the karma to stay alive, but if Krishna wants to kill you, no chance. Sorry. So that's one way to look at it. Another thing is this. Kalyananam nidhanam kalimalamathanam pavanam pavananam patheyanyan mumukshoho sabadi parapara praptaye prochamanam vishramasthanamekam kavivara vachasam jivanam sajjananam bijam dhanamadrumasya prabhavatu bhavatam bhutaye krishnanam. This is an anonymous verse that was ancient even in the 16th century when Srila Rupa Goswami decided to include it within his anthology known as Padyavali, Sanskrit verse. We don't know who wrote it, but it's included in Rupa Goswami's Padyavali. What does it mean? Kalyananam nidhanam. Of all things that are auspicious, he is the auspicious agent. I mean, he is the source of that auspiciousness, I should say. And Kalimalamathanam, he kills all the ill effects of the Kali Yuga. We've all become perverted because of the Kali Yuga. We've all become vikrita. We've become something other than punya, something unnatural, kritrama, even you can say. Vikrita is the best word. Because of the ills of the Kali Yuga. And he undoes all of that. Patheyanyan mumukshoho sabadi parapara praptiye prochamanam. It can be declared with confidence that if you are interested in liberation, in fact, serious about sincerely striving for liberation, then this is all the requirements that you may need. Just like when we go on an airplane, what do they pack for us? You may take some makana or some tepla or some kind of portable things that you can take with you on the plane that won't spoil easily. That's called pathayam, food for the road. Provisions is the word in English. So he says, this is all the provision that you need if you're traversing this path of liberation, if you're on that journey. And what else does he say? Of all the greatest of the poets, Kavivara, who are the greatest of the poets? In English we have Shakespeare. In Sanskrit we have Kalidas, Bhavabhuti, other mundane poets. But actually the greatest of the poets are Valmiki. Valmiki is called Adi Kavi. The shloka, they say, this Anushtup Chanda, most of the Bhagavad-Gita verses are shlokas, 8 syllables per line. They say this chanda was actually invented by Valmiki. In the beginning of the Ramayana, the story is there. So Valmiki and Shukadev Goswami, Vyasdev, these are actually the greatest of the poets. Vishramasthanam ekam. For these poets, the final resting place, the ultimate repose of their words, the greatest thing that they can glorify, in other words, is Him. Therefore, jivanam sajjananam. If we are actually human beings, gentle, sajjanas, good people, He is our very life and soul. Who is this He that I keep talking about? Who is this? That is in the last line. Bijam dharma drumasya prabhavatu bhavatam bhutiye Krishna nama. Krishna in the form of His holy name. He is all these things. So this is another way to take it when we hear Krishna say here, Jivanam sarvabhuteshu. For all the jivas, I am the life. For all the bhutas, I am the very life. We require Krishna. Just as we don't forget to eat at any time. Anybody here just blow off eating for a few days at a time? I don't think so. It's not so easy to do. We have attachment in that area. We need to eat. Our body will tell us if we're not eating or sleeping, even mating or defending. These things we are very much addicted to. But when someone is awake in Krishna consciousness, he realizes that this holy name is more important than breathing. More important than breathing. If you can't breathe, you've only got a few moments to do something about it. So think of this level of attachment when we interpret Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu in this way. And then even if we don't have that much taste, then the next thing is what? Tapaha. What does tapa mean? Austerity. Tapaschasmi, tapasvishu. Now, Baladev Vidyabhushan and others, other acharyas, maybe Madhvacharya and others. Tapasvishu means the vanaprasthas and the sannyasis, especially, because they're the ones who are doing the most penances. Why not the brahmacharis? Because when you're young, you can do any amount of penance and you don't know the difference. When I joined ISKCON, I was only 14 or 15, and I went on Radha Damodar traveling bus party, every day waking up at 3 in the morning, every day taking cold shower, sometimes in an open river. In those days we had open rivers that were clean. Even in the winter we were going out at 7 in the morning and coming back at 7 p.m. and distributing books all day long in the snow. How many of you have even seen snow? We don't really have it here. Certainly not in UP. So one year in 1976, I actually got frostbite from spending too much time on Sankirtana. You know what frostbite means? Your fingers freeze. You can snap them off if you're not careful about how you deal with it. Okay, so this is tapa, penance and austerity. And the vanaprasthas, they have been trained as brahmacharis, ideally. If not, then at least they've most likely been grahastas. But at any rate, however they got there, they're thinking of purification. And the best path to purification is tapas. Do something that you don't want to do for Krishna. That's really what it comes down to. If you simply follow the orders of the spiritual master, and if you simply try to preach Krishna consciousness, that definitely requires enough tapasya. You don't have to separately think of fasting or standing on your head or sitting in the circle of fire or anything like that. Just to take the stand that I'm going to be a devotee and I'm going to try to encourage others to become devotees. That in itself requires bilkul, kafi tapasya. There's no doubt about it. Absolutely, just try it if you don't believe me. So, therefore Ramanujacharya and everyone following him, all the acharyas, every last one of them, they agree on this point that Bahuvo jnana tapasa putamad bhavamagata. What is that austerity? What is the rest of the verse? Bahuvo jnana tapasa putamad bhavamagataha. I can't remember the first. The idea is that we become purified by taking the trouble to study Srila Prabhupada's books. And if that's not austerity enough, then when you try to repeat those books to other people, then they're not always so receptive. So that's a second layer of austerity that you have to deal with. This is the point. So if you can tolerate that, then Krishna says here, tapaschasmi tapasvishu. Among such persons, I am the power to continue with the austerity of Krishna consciousness, and particularly with this austerity of knowledge, he calls it. He says, many persons in the past have become purified by knowledge of me. Jnana tapasa, he calls it. So that tapa is also Krishna. Now, punyo gandha prativyamcha tejas chasmi vibhavaso. We have smell and touch here. Then we have jivanam sarvabhuteshu tapaschasmi tapasvishu. And then the list goes on, as I said, in the next verse or two. There are other things are mentioned. I don't want to get ahead of the plot here, but these are only 4 things. The original fragrance, and the heat. If you touch fire, because heat is related to touch, you'll know it if you touch fire. And jivanam sarvabhuteshu, to understand Krishna as the life of all living entities, and tapaschasmi tapasvishu. If we execute austerities, then we know very well what does austerity mean. What may be austere for one person is not necessarily austere for another person. But what is austere for you, that is austerity. To do something that you don't want to do. But when Krishna wants, you do it anyway. That is austerity. And Krishna says, that's me. I give you that power to tolerate. Why tolerate? Because we have 4 things that we have to prioritize in life if we want to be devotees of Krishna. Following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as taught by Srila Prabhupada, what are those things we have to do? We have to be more humble than a blade of grass. We have to be more tolerant than a tree. We have to be ready to offer respects to others, and we should not be hankering after any kind of recognition ourselves. These 4 things are very difficult. Talk about austerity. You try to apply this verse in your life, you will understand austerity, and Krishna says, that is me. Okay. So Krishna consciousness is active in every sphere. This is Srila Prabhupada's conclusion. I'm going to stop here now. It's been about an hour. So if anybody has any questions or any comments on any of this, we can discuss. Yes? His microphone is there? Parvati reminded me to remind you that many people are listening. They need a microphone.
You made a general statement that you gave an example, a very touching example of your mother, that her time is finished, and because of bhakti sukriti, she extended her life.
And not her bhakti sukriti, my bhakti sukriti. This is agyata sukriti. Just like Prabhupada, somebody asked him, Yesham tvantagatam papam ityadi. This is verse 749. Krishna says, those who have a history of pious activity and are full in knowledge and freed from illusions, they can sustain a mature commitment to pure devotional service. So one disciple, I think it was Guru Kripa, he asked Srila Prabhupada, well, what about us? And Prabhupada just replied, I created your piety. So that is our function as devotees. If we claim to be devotees, then we have to actually act as agents of the Lord's mercy in this world. And it's not easy to do that. because they're going to spit on you and abuse you and vilify you behind your back and try to rip you off and so many things, because nobody loves you here. Okay, so finish your question.
Yes. When I was living in Mayapur for training and study, I had the good fortune to associate with very advanced devotees. And I noticed a general tendency that if I was associating with them, like, not in open, then one devotee told me that, wouldn't it be good for every devotee to die at 50? Why extend life so much? It seems that among devotees, maybe it's a hankering for the perfection quickly, but there is a lingering fear that as long as I'm alive, I might fall or some difficulty might come. So better give up life immediately.
Yes.
So then this would not be in line with being pious and living long. And even the Hindi saying, which you know very nicely Hindi, just forgot this thing, sorry. You know,
कोई मुहावरा होता है.
No, it's like in Hindi it's very common is that what is the use for me to live? I'm a simple guy. You are a preacher, you're a priest, you're a monk. You need more people like you.
Ma jivo ma varo.
Yeah, something like that. So what should be our standpoint? Should we be hankering for the quick perfection and go back to God and immediately just die? Or extend life? Because as you do piety, your life extends, but that means also your misery extends. How? It doesn't seem to be.
Well, this kind of thing, this is why we have spiritual masters. Because it's not going to be a uniform, monolithic formula for everybody. We're all different. Srila Prabhupada said, I picked you up from all different paths. And you can see, for some people, it's clearly not their first dance. They have done this before. And they may have been yogis before, they may have been jnanis before, or even bhaktas before. Other people are coming from sinful backgrounds with no piety, but still everybody, somehow or other, we're fortunate to be included. But the point is that the strategy adopted for a particular living entity has to be pretty much individualized, and that's the domain of the bona fide spiritual master, because he has enough empathy to understand what is required. Isliye in Chapter 6, Krishna says that the best yogi is the person who can empathize like this. And if we look around, we can see those preachers in ISKCON who are the most successful in inspiring and sustaining others' Krishna consciousness are the ones who have this quality, that they can understand what another person is going through. They can understand what the person's desires are. They can understand what his adhikar is. They know. You see? Atmaopam yena sarvatra samam pashyati arjuna sukham vaya diva dukham sa yogi paramovata. For some people, as we said, ma jivo ma marova. You should not live and you should not die. Sinful person, this is the advice given, because, anyway, you know the story. And otherwise, in general, devotees have an auspicious life. Let it continue. But we should not become discouraged just because we have to suffer, because it's not about what we want, it's only about what Krishna wants. Consider what we're praying for. Ainanda tanaja kinkaram patatam mam vishme bhavam budhau kripayata vapada pankajasthita thuli satrisham vishindaya. I just want to be your servant. And natanam najanam nasundarim kavitam vad jagadisha kame mama janmani janmanishware. I don't even necessarily want to end this succession of repeated births. I don't mind, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, taking so many births if that is what should be. So, it's not about what we experience. Just like Arjuna, Krishna was telling him, it's not about whether you can conquer and enjoy the kingdom, even if you're going to let your family enjoy the kingdom. It's about dharma. We have a duty to perform. And whatever duty we have to perform, in whatever capacity, in whatever environment we have to perform it, we have to perform that duty. This is the point. So it should not be or it should be a secondary consideration, if it's a consideration at all. What kind of suffering I will have to undergo, what kind of happiness I'll have to undergo. At best, I would say it can remain as a strategic consideration. That's, I think, valid. But again, this is better arbitrated by the bona fide spiritual master than by ourselves. Is that answering your question? It's a general question, so I'm giving a general answer.
I was thinking of another example that Sanatana Goswami was under his influence. He took a bath and his body was all over with sores. And he wanted to end his life under the chariot wheels of Lord Jagannath.
And Mahaprabhu ne kaha ki, I have many things to fulfill through your body, so you have, and you've given your body to me, so what right do you have to take my things?
So, but it seems to be natural for devotees to think like this. If Sanatana Goswami.
Yeah. Well, we have Sanatana Goswami acting like one of us so that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can give the instruction that we need to hear. In exactly the same way that Arjuna is saying, you know, what is that verse he says? What is the use of this kingdom? What is the bhoga? You know, what is, if I get this whole rajya? Kim bhoga, what is it? Whatever it is, Sanskrit I forget right now. This was his attitude in the beginning of the Bhagavad-Gita, but it was not his attitude at the end of the Bhagavad-Gita. There he said, Karishye vachanam tava. Krishna asked him, Yatecha sita thakuru, you can do whatever you want. What do you want? He said, Karishye vachanam tava. I'm going to follow your order. So we have only to receive instructions and to follow those instructions to fulfill that mission. It may be easy for us, it may be pleasant for us, it may be unpleasant, it may be difficult. That's not a consideration except in terms of strategy. And again, that strategy is not our own adhikar, but that of the spiritual master. We've given our lives to Krishna's representative. We have a sponsor for our soul, so to speak, and that person guides us. And we have to surrender. Okay? Devananda Prabhu.
This verses they refer to the vibhutis?
Sorry?
Vibhutis of the Lord?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, isn't it? Although this is chapter 7, but it's very similar to these verses in chapter 10 where Krishna talks about his vibhutis. I would say so.
So, any idea how many total vibhutis are mentioned
in these 4 verses?
Altogether in Gita?
Oh, yeah, I haven't done that math.
7, 10, 15?
More than that.
Altogether, on these 3 chapters it is there.
Yes.
What is the total count?
Yeah, I didn't count. I'm not a statistician, so I don't know. You can take that upon your head, that responsibility, and then you can inform us tomorrow. Okay. Anything else? Yes. Pass the microphone, please.
If your spiritual master is no longer present, then when you take an instruction,
yeah.
Clearly.
Yes. Yeah, then it becomes a little more subjective, doesn't it? That's why we have Shiksha Gurus, we have Sadhus. It's a little bit more difficult. Therefore I say, for those of you who have spiritual masters who are present in this world, take advantage of every opportunity to get the guidance that you need for the next 50 years, because it's not always going to be available, this opportunity. This is the point. Tamal Krishna Goswami told me, we say that there are 2 kinds of association with the spiritual masters, the Vapu and the Vani. Vani is ultimately more important because the Vani is eternal. Vapu is only temporary. But because the Vapu is only temporary, he said, therefore I never lost any opportunity that I could find to get Prabhupada's association, because it's not going to be there forever. You're going to lose it, definitely. You'll only lose the Vani if you commit serious offenses, and that's also possible. I've seen it happen. But if you're careful and sincere, then the Vani will always be with you, but the Vapu will not always be with you. If you want objective guidance from your spiritual master, what to do, then you have to take advantage of it while you can. Jabalaga taname tapana vyapai tabalaga kari hari seva. You understand? So, Srila Prabhupada, now having said that, Srila Prabhupada never really emphasized this. It's been my observation that when the topic was broached, Srila Prabhupada would always only emphasize, I never feel the absence of my spiritual master, following his instructions. So, in the spiritual master's absence, then taking hold of his lotus feet, we say Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. That is to take all of his instructions, the sum total of all of his instructions into our heart. Arana kori homani Guru Mukha Padma Vakyo Chite te kori aikya. Arana kori homani asha. Chite te kori aikya. What does it mean? Make that thing, the same thing that you cherish within your heart of hearts. Make those spiritual master's instructions that thing. Usually in this world there's a duality, isn't it? There's something that we say on the outside, something a dogma that we're supposed to repeat. And then there's the real thing that we're cherishing inside, which is a separatist endeavor. This is wrong. Manasyanya, what is that? Manasyekam, vachasyekam, karmanyekam mahatmanaha. For a Mahatma, what he thinks and what he says and what he does, they're all one thing only. Manasyanyam, vachasyanyam, karmanyanyam duratmanaha. For the rascal, he's thinking one thing, he's saying a second thing, and he's doing a third thing. This is the point. So that is the significance of this song. So deep song from Narottam Das Thakur. How deep? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote a Sanskrit commentary on a Bengali song from Narottam Das Thakur, just to emphasize, and he says it directly in his other writings. Narottam Thakur, whatever he writes, this is Vedic mantra. So he stated so well, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitaita Korya Aikya. Take whatever the Guru says, enshrine that within your heart, and worship that for the rest of your existence. Arana Koriho Maniasha, because we have positive and negative pervasion. No? If you say to do something, you also have to say what not to do, just so that there's absolutely no ambiguity. So take these things, these spiritual masters' order, and you worship them in all sincerity, and don't even go anywhere else. Don't even think of anything else. Which part is not clear? It's very clear. Is that okay? I mean, what can we do? In the absence of when our spiritual master leaves this world, this is all we have. This and the association of God brothers who are similarly striving. What can be done? Therefore, recognize the value of human life and the value of time. Because it's not like an elevator door. One God brother gave a nice analogy. When the elevator door opens, how long does it remain open? Just a few seconds. You've got to make a choice. If you make no choice and do nothing, when the elevator door is open, then what happens when the elevator door closes? It goes whatever button somebody else pushed, that's where you're going also. Human life is like this. If we just go with the flow and let the modes carry us along, this is what's going to happen. If we take charge of our trajectory, take charge of our destiny, man is the architect of his own future, then we can, what is that? Guru Shevai Bashtumine, you know this song? I forget just now, Prabhupada says. By serving the spiritual master, one gets a really valuable thing in life. And then after he's gone, then we have to remember those instructions and act on them. Prabhupada did this. He didn't have very much association with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, but whatever association he did, he took it really, really seriously. Really seriously. Just focused on that for the rest of his life. And carry it out his mission in accordance with that and see the result. We have to have faith. Okay. Anything else? Before, yes, one more.
I had this question in mind. You mentioned, you were describing the elements. I have a specific interest in quantum physics, and I've got some research in this. And the scientists are actually seeing what we are reading in our books, And I have also a suspicion that they're actually very much reading our books.
There they are.
Trying to find these things in the universe, and they do actually.
I'm from Hollywood. Let me tell you, in the Los Angeles Temple, which is not very far from Hollywood, many, many, many famous actors come to the restaurant, and they're reading Prabhupada's books.
I see.
And movie directors also, that we know so many of them. They come regularly. I would think it's probably the same in Mumbai, I don't know. But, kyonki Bollywood or Hollywood ek sa hai na. So, you know, these people are reading our books, and other very influential members of society, they're reading the books. They're definitely reading the books, because how many books were distributed throughout the last several decades, 4 or 5 decades? Many, many millions of books have been distributed. People are reading them. They are there. They're in libraries, every major university, the books are there. And as long as the books are there, people will read them, even if we don't. So, yeah. Anyway, continue your point.
Yeah, but you mentioned actors or doctor scientists.
But it's the same thing.
The actual reputed gurus of the science world.
You know the name George Wald.
Even a bigger guru.
Yeah, George Wald was chanting Hare Krishna. I saw him in Austin, Texas in the 1980s. He's big nuclear, Nora Laureate, what is it, Nobel Prize winning, you know, whatever you want to call him. Nobel laureate, yes. Physicist. He's chanting Hare Krishna because he realizes that there's, you know, it's a box. And, you know, the answers are not within this box. He finally figured that out.
So I think that, I don't have to clarify, but I think you get the same realization, right? That Einstein, Bohr, and Schrödinger, they're the actual prodigies of quantum physics.
Okay.
In the 1920s. Reading the Upanishads, I was thinking that they are also seeing what they call entanglement of elements. It is karma. They're talking about karmic entanglement. They were talking about, if I do something here, something else is happening there. They are seeing one particle can be in multiple places at the same time. For us, it's all natural. Krishna can do the same. And we have this yogic thing like that. Do you agree that there is this similarity between quantum physics?
Well, I'm not an expert in that field, so I can't really comment on it. Having said what I just said, I would like to add the caveat that we should not expect that we can ever synthesize Krishna consciousness with any of the mundane sciences, because they're apples and oranges. And ultimately, you know, the science, like philosophy, is a Procrustean bed. It's a limited box. And you can't really make the realization of Krishna consciousness fit within that artificial constraint. This is my point. Just like people get hung up because they find contradictions in Krishna consciousness, I don't know why that should surprise anyone once it's really understood that the nature of the absolute truth is simultaneous, inconceivable contradiction in all things, as a matter of fact, with all questions as well. But people get hung up about that, and the problem is really about the limitations of logic and philosophy more than the limitations of Krishna consciousness. This is the point. And scientists generally don't want to step outside of the empirical box. They generally don't want to step outside of their established scientific paradigms, even if those paradigms themselves point to the conclusion that the answers are outside of the box. So what can you do? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
That's the surprising thing, is that they are actually now developing. See, quantum physics is completely different than what you learn in school.
Yes.
They call it classical physics. Like
yes.
Ball, it goes
yes.
Elliptic shape.
Yes. It's more dynamic. This is your point.
In quantum physics, contradictions
yes.
are in harmony.
Yes.
Like that. It's simultaneously, it's as real, but it's also visible. So that's why I was surprised that we have Achintya Veda, but if you actually study quantum physics, what you're observing, not their concoctions, but what you're observing, even then you can see, through the line of Sankhya, I would say, that would be Sankhya. You can understand even better what is Achintya Veda.
Okay, I can't comment on that. I'm not an expert. I can speak about Vedanta, and with regards to the 4 sampradayas, all different acharyas, actually 5 sampradayas if you include Shankaracharya in a liberal spirit, you know, they all have a problem with Maya, and they explain Maya in different ways, and they, you know, they ultimately you can see that there is a unified field, so to speak, but you're going to have to step out of the box of trying to fit it within darshan, because it doesn't really work like that. This is a big topic and it's tangential, so I don't think we should continue. All right. But about the class, any other questions? Any comments on anything? Okay. One last comment or question. Better if it's a question.
It's a question. You mentioned that speech, thought, and deed should be the same.
Yes.
We talk about Krishna, but our inner heart might be attachment to some associated Krishna, like Balaram or Sakhi, or would that fall in the same category?
In the sense that Tidyanam Samarjanam, yes. If we actually have that attachment. That's another question. But to be attached to Krishna's devotee and Krishna consciousness is no different from being attached to Krishna. If were it not so, then why are we wasting our time worshipping the devotees? Sakshat haditvena samasta shastra ityadi. We know the verses. Is that okay? All right, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.